You know what's really exciting? It's not the fact that my son graduated. Well, that is exciting. But the next exciting thing is being able to go and purchase or help purchase my son's first car. Now, before I go ahead and get into that story, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share our content. Now, let's get into it. I helped my son purchase his first car, and I am so excited to share the fact that he was able to get a car. Now, this has been a long time coming for him to get this car. And let me tell you, I had to fight him tooth and nail to get a car because he didn't want to do it. Now, I understand we have Lyft and we have Uber and all these different little car sharing companies can help you get to wherever you need to be. And some people may say, well, it's cheaper to move around in Lyft or in an Uber versus actually buying a car. And you very well may be right. But I can tell you right now, I am not the type of person that would like to have to wait on people to come and pick me up. I have done Lyft on both ends. I have been the rider and I have been the driver. Okay, getting to them as fast as I can to provide great customer service, and being the one being taken to the location and subjected to whatever kind of music, whatever type of driving ability, and in some cases no barrier in between, especially during the periods post-COVID. So I've seen it all. Okay, I've seen good customer service when I got into people's cars. I've seen bad customer service when I get into people's cars. I have given good customer service myself, and then there are some times where I was kind of fed up with the passenger, the rider, and gave bad customer service in their opinion sometimes. So the fact that my son got a car, I'm a little bit more at ease. Well, not necessarily, because there's other implications that come with a car. So far as like car accidents, responsibility, car insurance, and the liking. Car insurance for kids is way more expensive, I guess, than it was years ago. And it took me a while to get in here. So let me tell you how we got here. When my son turned 13, me and him had a conversation. And I asked him, I said, listen, are you thinking about driving? He said, no. I said, well, why not? He's like, well, I don't want to drive. I said, well, I think you should at least get your license. Like, just go for your license. You don't have to get a car, but it would be cool if you had a license just in case. He didn't want to do that. So we was able to get him his state ID, and I said, hey, at 14 and a half in Michigan, we have the graduated driver's license. So you can take it in parts and pieces. And it's easy because you kind of gain the experience of driving and learning the fundamentals of driving without just going out there when you're 18, get your license, and then just shoot for the stars to find out where you land. I didn't want him to go through that. I went through the driver's program myself when it was free. It is no longer free. It has become a private capitalistic country. I'm not going to go through that. But what I'm saying is that it has become a private industry where people can have their kids go through these classes under trained professionals and learn how to drive and learn the fundamentals and everything. So one of the good things about the first part is that segment 1 is where you start off at. Now, segment 1 is like 3 weeks long, and it's a pain. It's like 3-4 weeks long, but it's a pain. And they show you how to drive, they show you the basics and everything, but they also want your kids to ride with you. Now me, I don't have heart problems, but I don't want heart problems. Okay, I tried to show my son how to drive and almost had a heart attack. I seen the future, the past, and the present, and he didn't even turn the car on. I'm just not going to go through those issues with my son. But nevertheless, he had to learn how to drive some way, somehow. So I made a deal with him. And actually, I did make a deal with him. I just kind of threatened him and said, hey, your schedule is going to interfere with my schedule. I need you to learn how to drive. So we scheduled a segment 1. We scheduled segment 1, and he told me, he said, well, Dad, I like this. It's pretty cool. Can you show me how to drive? Okay, I'll show you how to drive. I'll show you to the best of my ability how to drive. Yeah, there was some incidents, also almost incidents, and some almost accidents where I should have videotaped all of it, because it was, starting out was pretty bad. He got everything except for turning. Turning was like the hardest thing. And then like changing lanes was the hardest thing. Like he would turn and he would either turn too wide into oncoming traffic, or turning right too wide into oncoming traffic, or he would turn left and he would turn too close left and wouldn't turn out wide enough. I really didn't understand it. Like, I'm just like, you see the lines, just get between the lines. Then he didn't want to drive the speed limit. Like, it was always under the speed limit. And I'm trying to understand, like, comment if you had like these issues and what did you do to resolve them? Like the first go around with kids and driving. But we went through these classes. I took them to a parking lot, showed them how to drive in a circle for the most part. Put the blinker on going left, put the blinker on going right, getting up to speed, slowing down, all this stuff. Because for some reason, the roads are 40 miles an hour. He didn't want to go 40 miles an hour. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why he didn't want to go 40 miles an hour. I'm just like, listen, you got to pick up the speed. People behind you are already speeding. You have to go fast. I mean, you ain't got to go as fast as I drive, but you got to at least do the speed limit. So even when we get on the freeway, he don't want to drive the speed limit. He like doing like 55 and it's like 70. But he doing like 60 and it's like 70. They do give tickets for driving too slow. So I really needed him to pick up the pace. So we do segment 1. And segment 1 went through as a breeze. So we signed off on all the paperwork, paid the money, and then they say, well, he has to do 60 hours driving. I'm like, oh, that's a breeze. But they track it now. Now, when I was driving, they didn't track it. I literally walked in 3 months later and was like, they were like, did you do your 60 hours? I said, yeah, I did. I ain't do 60 hours. I said, yeah, I did my 60 hours. They said, all right, cool. Since you did your 60 hours, you can go ahead and move on to segment 2. Great. I lied. I lied. I didn't do my 60 hours. I just, whatever I did. Whatever. I would lie. I did whatever. So, his is tracked. His is digital now. So he has to turn his on every time, which I'm sure they track it. It gets saved to the cloud to calculate if he actually did his time. And if he didn't, he probably wouldn't move on to segment 2. So we started doing these hours. Now, I made an agreement with him. I said, listen, if you get up early enough in the morning, you can drive to school. But after school, we got stuff to do. I don't have time for your speed limit driving self to get us where we need to go. Like, we need to get there and get there fast. We don't have time to wait for you to drive us there. We don't have time to wait for you to adjust the mirrors. We don't have time for you to adjust your seat, put your seatbelt on. We got to go, okay? We on the move. So that was the plan. So it worked a few times, but then he didn't want to do it no more. So then he started driving my sister. So my sister started picking him up from school, so then she started driving with him. So then he started driving with his mom. Then he kind of just started driving. Then we went back, started driving, and then we had to start. Now we were supposed to do parallel parking and go through like the different angles of the test. Never got around to it because then it started snowing. So I was trying to get him. I didn't really want him to drive in the snow. I was a little bit fearful of that. So we didn't drive in the snow. I tried to get him to drive my truck, and he crashed my truck. Well, he didn't crash it. He put a dent in the rails of the truck. That was, and you know what? It was mainly my fault, and this is why it was my fault. It was my fault because when I parked the truck at an angle in the backyard, and I asked him, was he okay with getting the truck out of there? He was a little overconfident and probably a little cocky, thinking he can get it out of there. And I told him, I said, you don't need to apply gas when driving out the driveway. Let the truck guide you. Let it just go. As soon as you let off the brake, the truck is going to go. You ain't even got to hit the gas. So it just gives you room and access to just kind of navigate your way through there. And then you just go, right? He didn't do that. He gave it gas, and it hit the side of my house. Well, it hit the gate, and then it cracked it because it was plastic. So then it cracked it, and I was like, it's like, you don't listen. I didn't hit him. I was just like, that was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, I didn't hit him, but I was kind of upset because I should have just moved the truck myself and made it straight so it could just go straight out of the driveway, and then, you know, we could have just went ahead and drove to school, or drove him to school, and I went to work. But I didn't do that, so I was a little upset with myself that I didn't do that. And I mean, it's fine because it was a learning lesson on his part. So we get through that, and we get to segment 2. Now we're at segment 2, and segment 2 is 3 days. Okay. Now, when I went through segment 2, 3 days, I was able to coast through it. I went and did my driver's training, my road test. When I did my road test, the cool thing about my road test was that I drove the biggest car that they had there, and my auntie went with me. So this was why it was so cool. My auntie went with me, and we went on this road test, and I had to drive. Don't ask me what year it was. I don't know what year it was, but I had to drive a Vision Eagle. Now I had my son look this vehicle up because I was telling him about my road test, and I was telling him about everything he had to go through. That Vision Eagle was long as hell. Okay, we drove Cavaliers in segment 1. My mom didn't even let me drive her car, so literally I had to remember everything from segment 1 and a little bit from, I don't even think we didn't even drive cars in segment 2. So I had to remember all the driving skills from segment 1 and apply it a year and a half later for the road test, because I wasn't driving. So for the road test in a Vision Eagle that was long, just to put it into perspective, I think it was about as long as a Chrysler Concorde. That's about how long it was, or an Intrepid. Like it was long. Like it was. I can't explain to you how long this vehicle was. So I'm driving this vehicle, and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, man, why is this vehicle so long? I've never, as long as I was like not driving, not that I paid attention to cars anyway, but I've never seen a Vision Eagle on the road. Like I've never seen one. So it was my first time even knowing that this car existed. So I had to do the road test. So the road test consisted of the measurement from the hood, parallel parking, and backing in. These are the same things that I train my son on. Parallel parking can be, a disaster. And you can only miss, at the time you can only miss like 3 points or whatever like that. And you had to do it all at one time with no mistake. Like you had to have the minimum parts of error possible. So we get to segment 2, and he does the segment 2, and now he's at the part where he has to do his road test. Now what does all this have to do with him buying his first car, right? Because this is the road that we had to get through in order for us to even get to the part where we had to purchase a car. So my son saved up all his money for school and everything. And, you know, he told me how much he had saved up, and I was happy that he saved the money up. So I had found a car, a 4 or 500, that I thought that would be good for him. Now, it's a nice little luxury car. We drove. It had 198,000 miles on there. So this was going to be like a little shooter car. You know, you go from A to B. And that was it. You didn't have to go nowhere else. That's just what you did. But I feel like my son wanted more out of his car. So he declined to take the 4 or 500. We drove it and everything. It drove nice. It probably needed like a brake job and everything. But he didn't want it because it had leather seats. I don't understand what the hell his problem is. I would kill for fucking leather seats. You know, and the reason why I would want leather seats, and you can comment on this if you want to. The reason why I would want leather seats is because they were heated seats. You don't have heated cloth seats, okay? When have you ever seen heated cloth seats? You just don't see the two go together, all right? Like it had intelligent heat in there, okay? I mean, intelligent temperature. So when you started the vehicle up, it just automatic heat. If it's cold, if it's hot. And I would have bought the car my damn self if I had the money, okay? Now, me and him started looking for cars. So he's not a big car enthusiast like I am. So we're searching around for cars. So we're looking a little bit over here. We're looking a little bit over there. So I went and I found this one car. Okay. Now I found this one car. It was a Saturn Ion 2. Now I remember these Saturn Ion 2s. I thought they were ugly as shit. That's just me. But whatever the case is, I still went and we looked at the car. So I'm not going to give you all the drama that was behind the scenes of trying to get this car, because there was some drama. And I can share it because I'm not opposed to the drama. But I don't think I'm gonna bore y'all with all those details. But if you want me to go into depth about the behind the scenes drama of getting my son this car, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I will either share it with you or I'll just do another video specifically about that drama. Because it was horrible, it was a mess, and these are the things that I go through to make my son happy, is the goddamn drama. Okay? Now, we had to go about 36 miles to go and see this car. So we had to go like across town to go see this car. And we had to go through rush hour traffic, and it was horrible. Okay. So we get to like this B lot, and you know, we walk in, and the Saturn Ion's over there. So we look at it, and I check the oil, you know, check a few other fluids, and I'm looking at it. So I'm like, okay, we'll go ahead and turn it on. So we turns it on. We drive it down the street. So I'm like, well, how does it feel? Now, he doesn't know how it feels. Okay, I've showed him before. I explained it to him when we went to go see the 4 or 500. I said, you know, when you test drive it, you don't want the music on. You know, you don't really want the windows down or anything, because you want to be able to hear the car. You know, you want to be able to, you know, hear if something's clicking underneath, or if the engine is making a particular sound. You want to test the heat out. You want to test the AC out. You know, you want to do some of the little things that could cost you way more money down the line, and see if you kind of see it now. You're not going to catch everything. You're not going to catch everything. But you at least want to try to catch some in the beginning, just to make sure that when you're driving it, that you're not going to have to put too much money in it in the beginning, then in the end. He test drove it. He's like, well, the steering wheel felt, you know, not a little stiff, but felt a little bit. Then he was saying the brakes weren't pumping like they were supposed to. So I was like, oh, okay. So we went a little bit down the road. I got in the driver's seat. So, you know, I got in the driver's seat. I drove it because I wanted to put it through its paces. So I hit the gas on the joint. Now, granted, this only had 126,000 miles on there, and it was a 2005. Okay. So I put it through its paces. So I hit it. Like I took it down the street. Okay. Drove it. You know, I'm like, okay, I see what you were talking about with the brakes. I hit the brakes. Brakes were a little light. They wasn't stiff. And the radio in there didn't work, so we gotta replace the radio. So that's something that we gotta do. We gotta replace the radio. So that's gonna be interesting for us to do together. Put a dash off, put the radio out, all that great stuff. Ooh, I don't like playing with electricity though. But so we took it back to the dealership, talked to the guy. The guy wanted like about $2,000 for it, and I told him like, can we work on the price? So, we didn't have to do too much talking. So we got it for about like $1,500, $1,700 out the door, and he purchased his first car. And the reason why I believe a kid should purchase their first car, just like I purchased my first car for about the same amount he purchased his first car for, is because once you take that ownership and you take on that responsibility, you feel a hell of a lot better owning and knowing that you put your hard work into it. It's something that you are going to value, and the road that it took for you to get there is going to be so much more essential, so much more special than if you had somebody just do it for you. Okay, so I like that he took ownership of it. I like that he put his own money and applied it to there. Only thing I had to do is put the insurance in my name, put the car in my name, but essentially it's his car. And I am so happy that he got it. He named his car Azul because it's blue. The funny thing is, blue is my favorite color, and I like the actual Spanish word Azul for blue. So we had a conversation, we had a little laugh about that and everything. But he was able to follow me, because he drove into his mom's house, so he's able to follow me to his mom's house in his car. And it was exciting. He graduated just a few months ago. Now he has his own car, and it's a very beautiful moment. And I'm glad I was able to support him and help him kind of purchase his first car. And we got it fixed. We took it to the shop, got it fixed. There's a few things that need to get fixed on there, but the mechanic said it's a pretty decent car. It's a solid car. So I'm very happy that we were able to pick a solid car that we're hopefully not gonna have too many problems out of. Now, one thing that I could definitely say about the experience is when he left, we went to a program together. At the end of his co-op program, we went to the program together, and I had dropped him back off at his mom's house because that's where he goes for the summertime. Dropped him back off at his mom's house, and before he got out the car, he said, "Dad, I just wanted to let you know." Well, first, just how he said it. He said, "I wanted to tell you something before we left, but I'm gonna tell you now because it's all emotional and stuff like that." That's how he precursed it, like, it's all emotional and stuff. So I said, all right. I said, "What's up?" He said, "Well, I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you. I don't feel like I tell you that I appreciate you enough. And I want to tell you that I appreciate you because you help me be more cost efficient when it comes to my money, and you help me get a car that is cost efficient. And I just wanted to thank you and let you know that I appreciate you and I love you for that." And I tried to hold back the tears, and because it was such an emotional moment. It's only so many times that I can count on one hand that my son told me that he appreciated me, that he loved me, and that he's happy that I have that involvement in his life. And I've been in his life, since he was born, and I've had custody of him since he was 3. So for him to say that and notice and recognize the reasons behind doing what I do for him, so he can be in the best position that he can, not only financially, but also just in life in general. It holds a special place in my heart of value. And anytime that he tells me that he's happy about my involvement, I'm definitely going to share that with everybody. I don't care how anybody feel about it. I'm going to share it because it makes me proud to be his father, because he recognizes the sacrifice and the hard work that I'm putting in. But until next time, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next go. Peace.